November, which means it is time for my October wrap-up. I have 3 piles of books here and a lot to talk about, so I'm gonna dig right in. If I sound a little weird today, I think I am getting a cold or my body's trying to avoid a cold, so I have my sick voice, but I actually feel fine. So, whatever. First up, I'm going to get into what I finished reading this month. I started out a little bit into Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. This is the second book in the Six of Crows series. The first one is one of my favorite books ever. I'm obsessed with it. I throw it at anyone that hasn't read it yet because it's amazing and everybody needs to read it. I did really enjoy this one. I think my expectations for it were a little bit too high, and I'm not going to say that much about this because it is a sequel and it's the last book in a duology, and anything I say will be a spoiler for the first one. If you have not read the first one, go read it. If you have read the first one but you haven't read this one yet, go read it. It was wonderful. My expectations were just too high because I was expecting like the most amazing thing in the entire world, which it was great, but my expectations were like unreachable, impossibly unreachable. Anyway, I do have a book talk for this. Click the book to check that out and read it, okay? Next up, I read Like a River Glorious by Rae Carson. This is also the second book, but this time in a duology. This is the sequel to Walk on Earth a Stranger. It's a historical fiction series about a girl who has the power to sense gold around her during the California Gold Rush, which comes in handy. And again, not going to get into too many spoilers here because it is a sequel, but I did enjoy this book. I think I gave this one 4 stars. I do have a book talk for this one as well, so check that out if you want to hear more. Next up, I have a less known book, but I was super excited to read this one as well. Forget Me Always. This is also a sequel. This one to Love Me Never. And I have a review for the first one, which I will link below. And I am planning to do a book talk for this one. I just haven't had a chance yet because this time of year is always crazy. I love this series. It's one of my Entangled teen books that they send to me, and I love them for it. This series is wonderful. It's about a girl who is starting off in a new town, and she's lost a lot of weight, and she was heartbroken, and she's determined to never fall in love again. Then there's this guy who she ends up getting into like a war with, and they're the only one that matches the other one's brain and intelligence, and it's great. That was really the first one. Again, not going to get into too many spoilers because anything I say about this one will give away the ending of the first one, but I am planning to do a book talk for it at some point, hopefully very soon before I forget everything. So check that out when it appears. But I think I gave this one 4 stars, strong 4 stars. I loved it. It had another surprise ending like the first one did, but a very different one. And I love this series. Sarah Wolf, keep writing. I love you. I'm so excited to read the first one. This was actually originally independently published, but it was taken and reworked, and I have no idea what the first versions looked like. It's based on Goodreads. It sounds like they didn't change that much of the actual plot, but I love this series. I'm so excited for the last one. I actually have a second copy of this that I think I'm doing a giveaway for. Stay tuned for the end of this video for more information on that, okay? The unfortunately last book I read this month is And I Darken by Kiersten White. It's unfortunate that I read this one so soon after Like a River Glorious because I'm not usually a historical fiction type reader. I don't really love stories that take place in a historical setting because I'm weird like that, but this one does. It was good. I also couldn't fully get in to the main character, one of the main characters in this, which kind of kept me a little bit separated from the story more than I would like to. I did give it 4 stars. There were tons of twists and turns. There were tons of times when I didn't know which way I wanted things to go because anything that happened would be hurting somebody that we love. It took me 2 weeks to read, which usually isn't a good sign. Like, everything's been taking me longer than it should to read. That's why I only read 4 books this month. But this one took a good solid 2 weeks. I think there was like an actual weekend in the middle where I could have been reading, but I wasn't. I was just like watching TV and on my phone and doing other things because I wasn't obsessed with this like I usually am with books. It's enjoyable though. It really is. I was into the story. I think I would have been more into the story if it wasn't for timing, and if my friend Kate, yes, I'm calling you out again, Kate, hadn't psyched me up so much with this one. I'm probably not going to do a book talk for this, just because I'm like not super excited by it, and there are so many other books I need to talk about. But I did put a review on Goodreads, a very short one. If you want to check that out, I'll link it below. That's it for the books that I actually read in October. Now I'm going to get into some of the books that I got in October. I picked up Holding Up the Universe by Jennifer Niven. If you don't know, she is the author of All the Bright Places, which is just an absolutely amazing book. If you haven't read that one yet, go read it. I'm assuming that this one's also going to be amazing, but I haven't read it yet, and I don't know much about it, and I'm keeping it that way for now, but I'm really excited to read this one because I'm obsessed with All the Bright Places, and I'm hoping that that doesn't get my expectations too high for this because I want to love this. And I've heard good things so far. I don't know, I'm excited. Next up, I got Magnus Chasing the Gods of Asgard, The Hammer of Thor. This is the second book in the Magnus Chasing the Gods of Asgard series. I'm going to read it. One of my students is actually currently reading this, and I keep yelling at him not to spoil me because I don't want to know anything because I haven't read it yet, even though it came out in early October. Yeah, I think it came out in early October. October 3rd. I think this was one of the October 3rd books. There were a lot of October 3rd books. Anyway, I got this, and I'm going to read it at some point, and maybe I'll talk about it. Who knows? In a similar world, I have The Bronze Key by Cassandra Clare and Holly Black. This is the 3rd book in the Magisterium series, which is a middle grade series that they are co-writing together. I really enjoyed the first 2. It's a book I kind of push on my students to read, my high readers. So I am excited to see what comes of this one. I just haven't had a chance to read it yet because there have been so many other books that are higher on my priority list because this is a middle grade and it's not quite as entertaining as a lot of other ones, but it still is because it's like fun. It's like Harry Potter on acid, kind of. Check these books out, they're really cool. Next, I have a couple Entangled Teen books that they sent me this month that I love getting and I'm going to read at some point. This one is called Remember Yesterday by Pintip Dunn, and it says, would you change the past to protect your future? It sounds like it's about a girl that can see the future and sees herself kissing this guy and has like a violent reaction to it and doesn't know if it's because she really likes him or doesn't want to kiss him. And that's all I know, but I'll read it. Next, I have Spindle by Shauna Slayton. It looks very fairy tale-ish. Love can bleed like a prick, like the prick of a finger. It sounds like it's a play on Sleeping Beauty, where a girl is taking care of her siblings and finds out there's like a secret to get things that she wants, but people are falling under a sleeping spell, and she needs to start believing in the power of a prince's kiss in order to save herself and other people. I feel like fairy tale retellings is like the current thing at the moment, so I'm excited to get into another one. Next is another Entangled Teen book called Infinity by Jess Accardo. This one sounds like it's about the daughter of a general who sends this guy to watch his daughter when he goes away, and it turns out there are like these multiple dimensions, and on every other dimension the guy and the girl are madly in love, but they're not on this dimension, I assume, yet. And that sounds interesting. I've seen a lot of like doppelganger things where they're supposed to be in love with a certain person and they always seem to find their way to each other. So that sounds kind of cool. That is it for those. I have a third pile of things, and there's a lot in it. I'm going to go through this one pretty quickly. This one is a pile of books I got at the BookCon part of New York Comic Con this year. And I am very excited for some of these. Some of these I have no idea much about them. But if you watched my New York Comic Con video, which I will link right here, right now, you have seen pictures of most of these before, but I'm going to go through them quickly. I got Bellwether by Connie Willis. This one is signed. I have a sneak peek of the next book in the Dark Artifices series by Cassandra Clare, Lord of Shadows, and I have not read this yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to, because sometimes sneak peeks terrify me. Next, I have another fairy tale retelling. This one I'm really excited about. It is Hunted by Megan Spooner. If you don't know, Megan Spooner is the person that co-wrote the Starbound trilogy with Amy Kaufman, and I love that trilogy, and I love Amy Kaufman's Illuminate with Jay Kristoff, and I'm excited to read something by just Megan Spooner, which I haven't done yet. And it's also Little Red Riding Hood, and I don't know much about it. I'm purposely not reading it yet, but I'm so excited for this book. I have pictures with Megan Spooner. I love her. I'm excited for this. This is an advanced copy. It comes out March 2017. Next up, I have Girl Code, Gaming, Going Viral, and Getting It Done by Andrea Gonzalez and Sophie Hauser. I think this one is like a memoir. I think this is real, not fiction. Oh, it's about the people that invented Tampon Run, which went global and got them information. I don't know. It sounds interesting. It also comes out March 2017. So I want to check that out. Next up is one that I heard a lot about and I kept meaning to get my hands on it, but I haven't. It's Alive by Scott Sigler. A teenage girl awakens to find herself trapped in a coffin with no idea who she is, where she is, or how she got there. Fighting her way free, she discovers a room lined with caskets, a handful of equally mystified survivors, and a labyrinth of corridors filled with bones and dust, but no people and no answers. That sounds terrifying, but it sounds like she's at least not alone, and I want to read this. Yeah. Next, I have A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Cavallaro. This one is a story about a female Sherlock Holmes, and I got to meet the author. She seems awesome. The book is signed, and this seems really cool. I've heard good things about it. I'm not a huge Sherlock Holmes person, but I like mysteries. I'm hoping it's something I'll really enjoy. We'll see. Next, we have The Outliers by Kimberly McCreight. I also got to go to a signing for her where she talked to us, and they were all very like girl power. It sounds like she goes on an adventure to find her best friend that she got in a big fight with, but it's like mysterious, and I don't know. I want to read it at some point. I have too many books to read. Next up, I have The Wild Ones by Alex London. This is one that I think I want to read and then bring to my classroom so that my students can read, because it is a middle grade book, and that's typically what I do with middle grade books. Whew. Next, I have Lightless by C.A. Higgins. This is the first book in a trilogy. It is about a girl with a very analytical mind that likes machines. That's as far as I got. There's somebody that's threatening the spaceship that she loves, and she needs to save it even after all the technology on the ship is failing. Next up, I have The Female of the Species, and this is another girl power book where I got to meet the author, and she said awesome things. This cover is awesome. I don't know if you can really tell. It has the name of all of the females of different species, and most of them are like insulting words, like vixen, cow. Nanny isn't really an insult, but like it's not a strong thing. And then there's the dog here, and I'm not going to say that word because I'm keeping this PG, but it kind of makes it even more powerful. They made her cross out the name that we call a female dog. But that just goes to show that, like, female names on things are insults. But girl power, wonderful, yeah. And here's another one that is a middle grade book, and I plan to read it and then bring it to my classroom. This one is an ARC though. It's Grandpa's Great Escape, and this comes out February 17th. I don't know when I'm going to read it. I might end up bringing it to my classroom first because I have so many books to read. This pile is up to my knee. I think this is the biggest pile I've ever had. Anyway, I do have one more book to talk about. You've already seen it, but this is my second copy of Forget Me Always, and I'm going to do a giveaway for this book. Information will be below. If you would like to get a copy of this, hopefully you've already read Love Me Never, or you can get a Kindle or Nook version of that first. But I really like this book, and I will give it to you. Enter below, and hopefully you win. Unfortunately, I'm only going to have U.S. residents enter because I don't want to spend a lot of money to send this to you, even though I do want you to have it. That is it. This is a really big pile of books. I'm excited for November. I have so many books I have to read. There are more books that come out, and Y'all Fest is next week, and too many things are going on, but if you're going to be at Y'all Fest, let me know. Hopefully I will see you there. And you can follow me on Twitter at ReaderGonnaRead. I have links to a bunch of my videos below. And subscribe. Yeah, do it. Subscribe right there, okay? Press it down there. Yeah? Yeah? Okay. Thank you. All right. I will talk to you next time. Bye! It's up to here. It's so tall. I think if I put Dobby on it, you could see him. Okay, Dobby's feet are on the books right now. Ah! Ah! And they fell. I'm sorry, baby. I have 20 books here. 20. Okay, let's see. Okay. Hopefully, oh my god. I don't think all these are gonna fit in the spots I want them on my shelf. Okay, goodbye.